I love this game. We get to judge if people were an a-hole or not. I love that. First story on the chopping block. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my inheritance with my sister? So I, 28 male, recently lost my father. It was a really tough time, but we knew it was coming because he had been sick for a while. Before he passed, he made it clear in his will that I would inherit the majority of the estate, including his house and a significant amount of money. My sister, 25 female, would receive a smaller amount, mostly sentimental items and a bit of cash. Here's the thing. My sister and my dad didn't have a good relationship. She moved out when she was 18 and they barely spoke after that. My dad tried to reconnect several times, but she always shut him down. I, on the other hand, took care of him during his illness, visiting almost every day and handling all of his medical appointments. Now, my sister is furious. She's calling me selfish and saying that it's unfair that she got so little. She thinks that I should split all of the inheritance 50-50. I told her I respected Dad's wishes and I don't think it's my responsibility to change what he wanted, especially given the circumstances. She argues that family is family and it's not fair to punish her for their estranged relationship. But I think it's not my fault they didn't get along. She had years to fix things with him, but she chose not to. My mom, they are divorced, is on her side saying that I should do the right thing and give her more money to keep the peace. Some friends agree with her, while others think I'm justified in keeping what I was given. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my inheritance with my sister? Update, however, I've seen a lot of questions, so I will clarify some things to fill in the gaps. Maybe this will help us with our judgment. Why did my parents get divorced? My parents' divorce happened when I was 12 and my sister was 9. It wasn't one big event, it was a combination of things. My dad worked long hours running his business and my mom felt neglected. She also said Dad had a controlling personality, which caused a lot of tension. Lila, I gotta film, girl. I have to film. I swear, if she's like bored or wants my attention, she'll just whine. Like she's stretching over there, whining at me, being like, come play, come hang out. I gotta pay the bills. Are you gonna pitch in for rent this month? Didn't think so. On the other hand, Dad felt Mom wasn't supportive of his career and resented him for working so much. Eventually, they just couldn't make it work and they decided to separate. My sister blamed Dad for the divorce because in her eyes, he was the one who chose work over family. Mom didn't exactly help. She would always make comments about how Dad cared more about his business than his kids. I think that this shaped my sister's perspective and made her more distant from him. Why were my sister and my dad so conflicted? After the divorce, I stayed with my dad while my sister lived with my mom. My dad tried to stay involved in her life, but the distance, both physical and emotional, made things harder. Over time, my sister started avoiding him. For example, he would call her, but she wouldn't pick up. He would send gifts or letters, and she never even acknowledged them. One of the big breaking points came when she graduated high school. Dad showed up to her graduation uninvited because he wanted to celebrate her, but she got upset and accused him of trying to make it about himself. After that, they barely spoke. Why didn't my sister visit when my dad was sick? This is something only my sister can fully explain, but I think it goes back to their strained relationship. By the time my dad got sick, they hadn't spoken in years. I reached out to her multiple times, telling her how serious things were, and she said she wasn't ready to see him. My dad was hurt, but never angry. He just said she has to come on her own terms, but unfortunately, she never did. And why didn't Dad just leave everything 50-50? I asked myself this too. I think Dad felt the inheritance should reflect the relationships that he had. He knew I had been there for him throughout the illness and he wanted to recognize that. At the same time, he didn't want to completely exclude my sister, which is why he left her sentimental items and also some money. I don't think it was about punishing her. I think he just wanted to acknowledge the reality of our family dynamic. Now on to the next update. After thinking it through and reading your comments, I've decided I'm not giving my sister anything beyond what my dad left her. His will was clear, and I'm not going to disrespect his wishes to appease someone who didn't even bother to visit him when he was passing away. I tried to be reasonable and explain my side, but it's pointless. My sister is still sending me nasty texts, calling me names, and acting like I stole from her. My mom is no better. She basically turned turned this into a full-on guilt trip, saying things like, "You're tearing this family apart and you're just like your father." Honestly, if being just like my dad means standing my ground, I will take it as a compliment. At this point, I'm done trying to keep the peace. They can say whatever they want about me. I am not changing my mind. I'm going to do what I want with the inheritance and move on with my life. If that means cutting some people off, so be it. To everyone who said I'm not the a-hole, thank you. It feels good to have some validation. For now, I'm focusing on honoring Dad's memory and making the most of what he's left me. We'll see where this goes next, but I am not backing down. Oh boy. We got a final update though. We will see if he did or did not, in fact, back down.
I'm not backing down this time.
All right, the final update came 6 months later. It's been a while since my last update, but things have gone completely off the rails since then. Oh, and I need to get this off my chest. So, 6 months after my dad passed and the inheritance was finalized, my sister completely lost it. I thought things were rough before, but this took it to a whole new level. First, she tried to sue me. She claimed that I manipulated Dad into changing the will and accused me of undue influence, saying I isolated her from him while he was sick and pressured him while he was medicated. It was full of lies and reached so far, I don't even know how she said it with a straight face. She even had 2 friends of hers sign statements saying they felt something was off, even though neither of them were ever around our family. Her case got tossed out quickly. The judge dismissed it with prejudice, so she can't try again. I thought that that would be the end of it. Nope. She started harassing me. Constant texts, emails, calls from private numbers. She made burner accounts on social media and commented on anything I posted. Signed me up for different mailing lists. Then I walked outside one day and someone had spray painted thief across my garage. I have cameras now, and yeah, it was her. Clear as day, so I had to file a police report, and that is still in progress. Then she showed up at my house while I was gone for the weekend. Broke in through a back window. She wrecked the place. Ripped pictures off the walls, poured something on the couch. It smelled like bleach. Broke furniture, went through drawers, dumped boxes of my dad's stuff on the floor, left a note on the bathroom mirror that just said, "You don't deserve this." I reported the break-in. There is now a criminal case open against her, and it gets worse. Oh my God, how does it get worse? Right after that, she started telling extended family and mutual friends that I had SA'd her when we were younger. That is where I draw the line. It's not just a petty inheritance drama anymore. She crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. I have never done anything like that, obviously, and hearing that kind of accusation come from your own sibling is something I don't think I can fully process. I have nothing to hide, and I've already spoken to a lawyer. If she says it publicly again, I am filing a defamation suit. My mom is still trying to play both sides. She says things like, "Your sister is just grieving in her own way," as if that justifies any of this. It doesn't. We're done. I've cut contact with both of them. If there's a takeaway here, it's that people can spiral in ways you never expect when money and guilt get mixed together. I kept saying, surely this is the last straw, but then it just kept going. I'm tired, I'm angry, I'm done. I'll keep the house, I will keep what Dad left me, and I will keep my distance. That is insane. I did not think that's where the story was going. Oh my God. I want to know what you guys think, if he did the right thing, or if you think family is family and that he should have split it with her, even though they did not have a good relationship. Let me know your thoughts. Next story on the chopping block. Am I the a-hole for demoting my maid of honor to a regular bridesmaid, or kicking her out and making her come as a guest instead? Okay, so you're still considering both options? Because neither are great.
They're both worse.
So for context, we are both 25 years old. She has a very controlling mother and is very overprotective of maid of honor. And my mom used to be the same way up until I was about 22 years old. About 3 weeks ago, I asked my maid of honor and another bridesmaid to plan a bachelorette weekend for all of us. About 5 to 7 people going down to Atlantic City at a beach house for a Thursday to Sunday trip. I fully trusted them to go ahead with planning, and I was excited to hear updates. About 2 weeks passed without hearing much. Now it's the Monday before we are scheduled to leave for our trip. I FaceTimed with them to see what the itinerary was and if there was anything left to plan. We must have met for 15 minutes max, and maid of honor was not paying attention, didn't know where the link to the planning document was, and even interrupted towards the end because she was laughing and said, "Sorry, I have like a whole other side plot going on right now." So after realizing that over the span of 2 weeks, barely anything had been planned from maid of honor and the other bridesmaid had pulled most of the weight but was limited in what she could do without maid of honor, I started to panic plan everything in time for Thursday. I sent out Google Forms, researched activities in the area, planned meals, made a generic itinerary, snack and drink requests, ordered decorations, etc. The next day after the FaceTime, I get a text message from maid of honor saying that she has been having a family issue since Saturday and is still trying to figure out how I'm going to be getting down there. And also said, quote, "I realized I forgot to answer. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get back to you," among other things. Knowing sort of how her mom is, I responded with, "No problem, I'm so sorry. Is it that your mom doesn't want you to come?" And she responds, "In short, honestly, yes, that's part of it." So I responded with a couple of ideas, like offering her mom to come tour the Airbnb or even stay with us as there is an extra room, saying that I understand and for her to let me know if there's anything I can do to make things easier. She doesn't respond till the next day. So for timeline, we FaceTimed on Monday, texted on Tuesday, now it's Wednesday morning, 24 hours before we leave for this trip. She texts me starting off with, quote, "If I want any shot at repairing my relationship with my mother and ending this fight, it's probably in my best interest not to come." And then proceeds to apologize and say that she'll find a way to make it up to me. I responded with a very long text, like 6 paragraphs, essentially expressing how I wished I had known she wasn't going to be able to make it sooner, and that even if she wasn't going to make it, she still should have planned something, anything. Being honest about my being upset and disappointed and relating my situation to hers, that I've also had difficult family dynamics that I've expressed to her, like my mom borderline kicking me out, but her mom isn't like that. I also said that I would love for her to still be by my side for my wedding, and that's true, but I'm worried that something like this could happen again days before my wedding, which is 3 weeks away, 2 as of making this post. And that she will cancel with short notice because she gets into an argument with her mom about it, and then what would I do then? From Wednesday morning to Thursday night, she had not responded at all. I was already at the Airbnb trip, but I wanted to clear the air before I wouldn't really be on my phone until Sunday night. So I called her and she didn't answer. It was late, so I got it. And I texted saying that I wanted to check in with her if she could call me back when she gets the chance. For additional context, I only have 3 people in my party, the maid of honor, and I have 2 bridesmaids. The same day all of this started happening, I found out one of my other bridesmaids started implying that she won't be able to make it, but hasn't said anything to me directly. So finding out 2 out of 3 of my people won't be able to show up for the wedding definitely sent me into a spiral. I had a heart-to-heart with the one bridesmaid who has been through it all with me and explained everything that happened, and I truthfully told her how I felt about her. I originally wanted her to be my maid of honor after I got engaged, but it felt invalid in asking her because we had only known each other for less than a year, but had bonded very closely. As opposed to the current maid of honor, we haven't been as close up until the past few years, but we have been friends since childhood. I asked her if she would be my new maid of honor, and it turns out that previous maid of honor can make it to the wedding, unless her mom obviously tries to damage the relationship somehow. So previous maid of honor would just be a bridesmaid instead. Absolutely radio silence from her until Sunday afternoon, responds with an 8-paragraph message, and in the first says something along the lines of, "I hope you had a great trip and sorry I haven't answered." Quote, "Truthfully, I didn't know what to say at first and then time just got away from me. I wanted to actually take time to sit down and think about what I was going to say before I said it, and then genuinely, sincerely apologizes for letting me down, explains that she doesn't want to get into what happened with her mom, but it wasn't wasn't only about the trip. Explains how she already has carpool plans, dress alterations done, hotel reservations, etc., and said, I had full intentions of committing to coming as I have the whole time, but I can understand why you would think that there's a chance I wouldn't be there. Oh, so are you still considering the option of like, am I the a-hole if I do it now because she's apologized? Ooh, that does make it a little awkward. I get if you never heard from her again. But now that she's come back to you and apologized, you're like, ooh, how do I tell her? Like, okay, thanks for the apology, but you're no longer my maid of honor and you're also gonna just be a guest. I don't know. That's tricky. I just wish you would have picked whoever you wanted to be your maid of honor. Not based on timeline and who you've been friends with for the longest, but who are you the closest to? Who do you want to be your maid of honor for that moment? I don't know. You guys, let's chat about in the comments. Let's see what the judgment is. I need a sip of water before we continue. So do you. Cheers. Look at that. Another glass of water down the hatch. We're making progress, you guys. Making progress. As you see my reflection sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing at this moment. Yes. Making progress. Slowly but surely. I'm a few weeks out. All right, next story on the chopping block. Am I the a-hole for exposing my friend's girlfriend's lie? I, 27 female, and my friend, 22 male, were discussing crazy things we figured out over the years, and while we were talking, I told him about the time I exposed a huge lie and caused my friend to break up with his girlfriend. My friend, who I told this story to, said that I was a big a-hole for butting my business into somebody else's relationship. I told my friend that I did it to protect my friend and that I wasn't an a-hole. Even after my friend persisted that I was an a-hole and it wasn't my business, I still disagreed. But ever since I told my friend this story, I've started wondering if I was actually the a-hole. This situation happened a few years ago, and I honestly haven't thought much about it since it happened before now. One of the guys, we'll call him Conrad, got into a relationship with this girl, we'll call her Leah. When our friend group learned about it, we were really excited for him and also very supportive. For context, Conrad is a very introverted and shy guy who gets very nervous around girls. It took almost a year before he was comfortable around me and stopped getting nervous. He is that kind of guy that you would describe as a sweaty gamer. So when we learned he got into a relationship, we were all kind of surprised, but very happy for him. We all wanted to meet her and scheduled to hang out with everyone. Unfortunately for me, I was unable to attend because I got called into work at the hospital. When I got home from work that day, my boyfriend at the time had gotten back from the hangout. I asked him what she was like, and he simply said that he didn't like her. I also learned that the rest of the friend group also didn't like her as well, but when I asked them why, they couldn't give me a specific reason. I ignored what they said because I hadn't met her, and I like to form my own opinions and not get influenced by other people. I knew that the friend group was already planning that year's Halloween party, and Conrad and Leah would be there, so I was still excited to meet Leah. A week goes by and the Halloween party is happening that night, and I was finally going to meet her. Nothing noteworthy happened at the Halloween party. Leah seemed very nice, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about her. I was worried that maybe I felt like something was off about her due to my friends' opinions about her, but I wanted to give her a chance, so I tried to shake that feeling away. A few days after the Halloween party, I ended up meeting Leah again. This time, I learned that Leah had a kid from a previous relationship, but whenever I asked her about the child, she would always try to divert or completely change the subject. That same feeling I had from the Halloween party started creeping in, like there was something off about her, but I couldn't pinpoint what exactly. Another week passes and Conrad and Leah have officially been together for 4 weeks when Conrad announces to the friend group that Leah is pregnant with his child for a month. Wow. Okay, no judgment. Couldn't be me. Better you, because it wouldn't be me. We were all pretty shocked, but we tried to be supportive, although some of the guys in the friend group wanted Leah to terminate the pregnancy. During this time, Conrad and Leah started hanging out a lot more with me and my boyfriend at the time. Leah would talk about her pregnancy and how excited she was, and could tell that Conrad was excited too. I was excited for them until Leah started sharing some more details about her pregnancy. Leah knew I worked at the hospital as a nurse, but she didn't know that my department's specialty was was gynecology and that I worked with patients up to 18 weeks of pregnancy. As I mentioned before, Conrad and Leah had only been together for 4 weeks when she found out she was pregnant. Oh, I already know what's gonna happen here. I won't spoil it in case you haven't figured out, but I think I know what's happening here. I hope I'm right. The first time I hung out with Leah and Conrad after the news broke was almost a week later. She told me that she found out she was pregnant when she by chance had to go to the emergency room due to an infection. She then proceeded to tell me that they did an ultrasound there. This really stuck out to me, but I just pretended that it didn't. I asked her about the ultrasound and she showed me a picture of a sonogram and boasted about the baby's heartbeat. My alarms went off, but I don't want to say anything just yet. I asked her if she knew how far along she was, and she said about 3 weeks. She also told me that she got pregnant even though she had an IUD and that the doctors didn't want to remove the device. For those who work in healthcare, and especially with gynecology, you'll know exactly why my alarms went off. Usually for ultrasounds, they don't do it until you're at least 5 weeks along, at least in my country. This is due to the fact that they don't usually find a heartbeat before the earliest at 5 weeks. Another thing is that if you have an IUD and pregnancy is detected early, the doctors will usually remove it because the IUD can lead to complications later in the pregnancy. Right after Leah and Conrad leave, I immediately turn to my boyfriend and I tell him that I don't think the baby is his. That was my guess. We both discuss whether or not we should tell Conrad, but we decide initially not to say anything because it was still early and we tried to make excuses that maybe Leah got the information wrong or she just misunderstood what the doctors told her. Some time passes and Leah is approximately 12 weeks pregnant. Myself and my boyfriend at the time still hadn't said anything to Conrad, mainly because we didn't want to create any drama in case I was wrong of my suspicions. In the weeks in between, we had learned that Leah's previous child didn't live with his father, but was actually taken away by Child Protective Services, which only raised my and my boyfriend's suspicions of her. One evening, Leah and Conrad came over to hang out with me and my boyfriend, and Leah is again boasting about her pregnancy. She shows me an app that tracks her pregnancy and how big the baby was at the time. When she showed me the app, I noticed in one of the corners of the app that the week is displayed. It said week 16, but she should have been at week 12. I don't say anything to her, but I feel more confident in my suspicions. I decide to ask her when her screening is. So she then tells me that she already did her screening. I was now 100% certain that the baby wasn't his. The screening doesn't take place before the 18th week, which is why my department only works with pregnancies up until the 18th week before they get transferred to the birthing department. Right after they leave that evening, I tell my boyfriend that we need to tell Conrad the baby isn't his. I tell him all the things that she told me that evening, and my boyfriend reveals that Conrad had told him that he had never been to any of the ultrasounds because Leah didn't want him there. That's crazy. We immediately tell Conrad that he has to meet us without Leah. Conrad is a bit reluctant, but he does meet us. We tell him everything about the ultrasound, the heartbeat, the IUD, the screening. Conrad immediately starts yelling at us, saying that we are making things up, and he storms off. He blocks us everywhere. Leah blocks me on all social media, and we don't hear anything from them for a while. During this time, me and my boyfriend decide to tell the friend group about everything, and they side with us, and they try to convince Conrad to at least take a paternity test when the baby is born. Conrad cuts most of the people in our friend group off, and we don't hear anything for several weeks. I have a feeling he's gonna regret all this. I think almost 2 months have passed before Conrad finally reaches out to me. He tells me that he had broken up with Leah, but he doesn't want to talk about it. He slowly joins back in the friend group, and another month goes by before he tells us that the baby wasn't his. I'm so smart. After me and my boyfriend told him that we didn't believe the baby was his, he admitted he was first in denial, but started noticing that something was a bit off. He still hadn't gone to any of the ultrasounds because Leah said it made her uncomfortable if he went inside. It wasn't until a checkup that Leah had a month after we had our conversation with him when he demanded he come to the ultrasound. She reluctantly let him go with her, and he found out that she was further along in her pregnancy. It takes a few few more months before Conrad tells us what truly had happened. Leah was already pregnant when she met Conrad. Leah's ex had unalived himself after Leah had told him that she was pregnant again, and Leah didn't know what to do because her first child had already been taken away by Child Protective Services. When she met Conrad, she decided to pretend that she had gotten pregnant by him in hopes that it would prevent Child Protective Services from taking her baby away. Leah told everyone that her due date was in June. She gave birth to a baby girl in early March. So, am I the a-hole for exposing Leah's lie? Oh my God. I mean, what a sensitive and complex situation. I definitely feel like a friend or anyone would deserve to know if that child is theirs or not, because the child would also deserve to know that. Let me know what you guys think. Put your final judgment, your verdict in the comments. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.